Hello, and welcome to another video. And in this video, I am looking at my first big haul video that I purchased for this channel 1 year on. Look at what I used, what I haven't used, and what I like and what I didn't like. So we're starting with all the papers that I brought. Looking at the Araldo di Paldo Visual Diary in black 120 GSM paper, and I haven't used this one very much. I've used it as a good sort of base to swatch black against, but the paper is very smooth and kind of thin. It doesn't hold well to acrylic or gouache or watercolor, which makes sense. It does all right with pencil, pastel, oil pastel, soft pastel, um, but I haven't found what medium I want to use on it. And mm, it's been a good purchase in the fact that it has allowed me to have black paper on hand to test things on. Otherwise, I probably didn't need it. Um, Much like these next few papers, starting with the Fabriano Artistico 100% cotton watercolor paper, I haven't used it. I haven't done a lot of watercolor this year, not like I had anticipated I would. Um, and the same with these the Paper Mill Creative Journals in A5 and A4. I just haven't used them. I love how thick the paper is. It could hold up, I believe, for even acrylic paper. Sorry, acrylic paint. Not so much watercolor or anything more wet, but I think it could hold its own against acrylic paint. I just haven't used it yet. I haven't wanted to use brown paper, and so it's just been languishing. Definitely not a needed purchase. Um, but I have used the Artect sketch journal, 110 GSM paper, quite a bit. It's been really good at helping me get a grip on different graphite. So as someone growing up, I mainly only used HB and maybe 2B graphite, but there's a whole range of different hardnesses out there. So it's definitely been very interesting to try and get back into that. Test out the different hardnesses, test out different ways of using the graphite, different shading, um, and get back into figure drawing as I'd like to draw some more detailed figures. And it's been really handy to have a messy book like this, if it makes sense. It's got a soft cover, it's spiral bound, it's nothing fancy. So making a mess of it is absolutely fine. Being messy and not having perfect sketches can be difficult when you have a really nice journal. So having something lower end with still decent paper has been really handy just to let loose in. A lot like this synthetic paper from the paper mill. It's been really, really handy to have. When I have art block, I like to let loose with alcohol inks on this synthetic paper. It's been really handy. The paper has held up really well. Um, I also use um, acrylic ink and even water-based ink just for different textures and patterns and whatnot. And it's been really, really good. I definitely recommend these. I've used a fair bit of both the A4 and the A3 paper, but I couldn't find most of my A4 pages. I have put them somewhere for safekeepings and not remembered where. But it's if you struggle with art block, letting loose with something messy can be really handy. So I would recommend this paper. It holds up really well for all different types of ink. So I think the paper mill synthetic paper worth worth it. I will definitely be getting more when I run out. So that's been a good purchase. Now the Araldo di Paolo, uh, there was a beginner acrylic set. So it came with paper, brushes, and paint. and I have misplaced the brushes. They are most likely in with all my other paintbrushes. I really liked using them. I thought they were quite good paintbrushes, and yeah, they've gone in with the others, and I don't know where they are. Um, I can't. I wasn't going to dig through all of my paintbrushes just to find the specific ones because I couldn't remember exactly what they were, but I know I did use them a lot. Now, the paper itself here is really quite thick and it holds up very well for the acrylic paint, not just the one that come with the set, but other acrylic paints I've used on it have been fine. I just really dislike the texture of that acrylic paint. It's kind of sandy or gritty, and I don't really like touching it, so I won't be getting any more of this paper. But that's really a texture thing more than any failing of the paper. I'm just a bit funny with textures. So I can recommend it for its purpose, but I can't recommend it if you are funny about textures like I am. Now, the paints themselves, the acrylic paints, they have been a good learning curve. For example, that crimson paint is nearly all used up because I really, really like that color. And most of the other paints are about half used, except for the burnt umber, burnt sienna, and black, because I haven't really been drawn to those colors for my projects I've been working on. But yeah, the paints themselves are really thin acrylic paint, and I have learnt since using them that I prefer my acrylic paints to be thicker. So that's been really handy to learn. So going forward, I can get thicker paints. So that has definitely taught me something. If you like thin paints, they might be good for you, but I'm not sure. I don't know what to look for in thin acrylic paints. I've learnt that I am not looking for them. So that has been very handy. Um, but yeah, so I can't recommend them because they're not a product I prefer to use. That said, moving on to this here uh, paint tin for watercolor pans and half pans from Mungyo. I've not used it because I have not been doing watercolor. I got it anticipating I might buy some loose pans and I'd want to have a protective place to put them. And I still can. There's nothing wrong with that tin. It seems quite good. I just haven't brought the pans that I anticipated I might. So it's been a bit of a waste, though I'm sure it will come in handy if I delve more into watercolor, which I do want to. I just haven't yet. But the Mungyo glass palette has been very handy. I have used it for a few different mediums on it, but as I've been doing a lot of acrylic paint, I have used that. It's really easy to clean off, as any glass or ceramic palette is compared to plastic, which is why I haven't really used the pans it comes with. I put the paint directly on the glass palette, and it's really good that it's white. I have one that is clear, and it doesn't always lend itself to showing the color the best way it can. So I do recommend that white glass palette from Mungyo if you are interested in that sort of thing. Another thing that I haven't used is the Faber-Castell watercolor pencils. As you saw, the case was dusty. It has been sitting in the dark to protect it so the pencils don't get damaged or overheated. Um, because they were really expensive. To date, they're the most expensive set of pencils I've brought, and I am nervous to use them. There's that bit of the sort of I'm not worthy enough to use these expensive paint supplies yet. I don't deserve it. Which is something I definitely want to try and tackle. I'm hoping that by this time next year, I will have used them at least once. At least once. That will make me happy. I'm sure a lot of other people that are sort of beginning their art journey, same as me, have that compulsion that it's like, we are not good enough for these supplies yet. I also haven't used these oil pastels. When I ordered these, I had been using the Montmartre oil pastels almost daily. I was obsessed with oil pastels right up until I brought these, and I haven't felt like using oil pastels. I haven't I've been so in the acrylic zone and even graphite pencil zone that I haven't used oil pastels since buying them. I will use them, and hopefully by this time next year I can say the same thing. Now this metallic gilding polish in golden olive, I haven't used it very much. I don't believe. I do not like the sponge it comes with. I don't like how it works. Um, but I haven't really found the project that I want this to go with, which is a bit of a shame. It's really pretty. I definitely need to get on it. I just don't know what to do with it yet. On the other hand, the Sizzix Crystal Glaze, the Paper Glitz Black Rainbow, and Paper Glitz Pecan Pie have all been used to varying degrees. Now, it took a little bit for me to warm up to the crystal glaze because you really have to stir it before using it to get any glitter. But I have used it a fair bit. The Black Rainbow I've used a lot. I used a lot, there's not much left. And the Pecan Pie I've also used a reasonable amount. I have found them a lot of fun to add to different space like things. I added here to make snow through the window to try and give it a interesting texture. That was with the crystal glaze. I also used a bit of that on the ocean to give it sort of a shiny look, just to mess around with textures and the like. But the pecan pie and black rainbow from Paper Glitz, I've used to make space-like scenes in different ways, just to get that really sparkly, shimmery texture, make it look like stars, which has been really enjoyable and definitely something that I will be doing more of. I don't know if I would get these exact pastes again because there are a lot of different ones out there. Um, of all of them, surprisingly, I think the Crystal Glaze would be the one I would get again, despite it taking me the longest to warm up to, because I like the finish of it. It finishes nicely, where the other two, the Paper Glitz, needs almost a varnish over the top of it to bring back the shine, because it does finish kind of strangely matte for what it is. It has your sparkle surrounded by a sort of matte paste, which I'm not a fan of. Now, this is actual footage from the original haul because I got rid of this paint set. It was horrendous. It is the Montmartre um, watercolor beginner set with pencils and paint pads. I think I kept the water brush, but even the eraser was crumbly and horrible. I would never get it. Do not get it. The pencils have barely any pigment in it, and the paint palettes are such a waste. Uh, you can buy much, much cheaper palettes. Sorry, you can buy palettes at the same cost that are significantly better. So just avoid the Montmartre watercolor. Montmartre does have some good products, like the oil pastels I mentioned earlier. Do not waste your money on any Montmartre watercolor supplies. Now, here's sort of just like a general look at everything I've used, everything I haven't. Um, and overall, I have used more than I haven't used. But some of the things I haven't used a lot, so I don't know if I can count it. I am a little disappointed in myself for some of the things I haven't used, and so it's definitely going to caution me to be more mindful when I'm purchasing supplies. I think that it's a bit of a waste to buy these supplies and not use them. As much as I want to, I can't say that I have, so it feels like I'm just wasting my money. On the other hand, I have used a lot of supplies, um, and they've been really quite good. The ones that I have used, I do say most of them have been worth it. Some of it has literally just been learning, which I think is always important when it comes to art. But that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you for watching, and if I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.